going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Dynamo Therapy. Noodle Time. Episode 153. I am your host, Mark Segovia, alongside my co-host, Andres. What's going on, Andres?
Sorry, pretty good. Still in despair mode in Dynamo land. And hopefully it's our weekly session of Dynamo Therapy about to start right now, which I'm definitely looking forward to.
For sure. Yeah, man. Crazy weather we're having today, man. I had a little bit of a situation getting home, so that's why we're starting a little late, guys. But yeah, man, if you're in the Houston area, listening to us on YouTube or however you're listening to us, make sure you get home safe, and all that good stuff. But with that being said, Andres, back-to-back weeks on the road, and back-to-back weeks tied. A thrilling way this time by basically, I don't want to say last minute Arthur goal, to save the Dynamo road point. What's going on, Corey? Welcome in, my guy. A golazo from the least likely person on the pitch, Arthur, who I think I think that's his first official MLS goal with the Dynamo. I know he scored a goal in the U.S. Open Cup with us. I'm not sure if it's his first MLS goal with us, but we'll have to look that up here in a second. But yeah, a golazo by our captain Arthur to salvage a point in Canada, hold on in Canada against Vancouver, trying to avenge the horrific pounding that they gave us here at home not too long ago. But yeah, man, your thoughts on the game? Basically, another week goes by, another tie, and Olsen is still our coach.
Where to start? That game by itself, it was more so everyone looking forward to Thomas Mueller starting. We were on prime time. It was Sunday night, and MLS was harping really hard on Thomas Mueller, making his debut for Vancouver Whitecaps.
Sold out game.
Yeah, it was a sold out game, and it's obviously all the expectations for us to not just get a result out of this, but also kind of play spoilers and try to turn things around, because we are still trying to look for as many points as we can. We are going on the road against these difficult teams. Of course, Vancouver not only getting a really seasoned player in Thomas Mueller, but also us coming into Vancouver having all that, just being in very great shape, fighting for first place in the Western Conference, while we are kind of doing the opposite. So it honestly, looking into this game and heading into it, I was extremely worried about the outcome. Obviously, last week we talked about us looking for a entertaining game, a chaotic game, because if Houston wasn't going to play a perfect game to try to get a result or even a win, it was going to come down to either that or just make it as much of a nuisance as possible to try and get a result. And the good news is they did get a result. They managed to get a crucial point against Vancouver. But again, it kind of just felt like the Austin game, where Vancouver was kind of all over it, and we were trying to hold back as much as possible and look out for that opportunity. And Artur was just let it rip. His first goal with the Dynamo, I think his first goal in 2 years in MLS.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of crazy that the chances that came over. Of course, shout out to Lawrence Anali for bringing in that run inside the box to then force a pass to get to Artur. Absolutely incredible. And Ali still not starting, but still providing our goals and just being the most dangerous piece that we have on this team. Man, it's definitely annoying that we are still at this point that, granted, and Ali needs time to rest if he gets rotated in some occasions, but he's probably our best player right next to Jack McLean right now, or our most important player, better to say that. So it's kind of like he has to play. He has to start games.
Yeah.
Us as fans looking into this team, come on, we need something new right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think it might have been a the fact that we're playing in BP place and artificial turf, you don't want to jam up his knees
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And we're recently coming off of that ACL. Maybe it's not the best conditions to be playing for him to be playing a full game. But I mean, look, man, it's a tale of two stories, a tale of two towns, basically. Look, Vancouver, they're up there fighting for the top of the Western Conference, the top of Supporter Shield, all that stuff, and the Dynamo are trying to hang on into the playoff, the play-in place, right? Um, we're 12th place right now in the Western Conference. Realistically, there's a gap between us and Sporting Kansas City and ninth place San Jose, who we play here in Houston this upcoming week. We'll talk about that later on. Basically, holding on to that ninth spot, 3 points ahead of us. That's basically what we're fighting for here. That ninth spot, just to basically squeak into the playoffs. But I mean, not only does it mean squeaking into the playoffs, but that also guarantees us a spot in next year's League Cup competition as well, and things of that nature, because I believe the top 18 clubs of MLS are qualified to that competition for next year. And that's the top 18 as far as the playoff contenders are 9 from the East and 9 from the West. But with that being said, I mean, obviously the main focus here is to try to catch up to San Jose and get to the number 9 spot. And obviously, like I said, grabbing points on the road is a great thing. But I think our biggest test is this weekend, man. A true 6-pointer and at home where we have not fared well at all this whole season, where we're dropping points left and right. And obviously, before we get to that point of the show and talking about that game specifically, I mean, um, you got to give the Dynamo a little bit of praise, going into that atmosphere, full stadium. I think it was like almost 30,000 fans. Thomas Mueller going in there, it's a huge legend, prime time MLS Apple, game, all that good stuff. And they went in there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna go in there and say that they played their best, because honestly, that the goalpost was basically the 12th man for the Dynamo. The Vancouver Whitecaps didn't really do themselves any justice, missing hitting the post. I think it was 2 or 3 times, if I'm not mistaken, throughout the game. So Vancouver could have easily have beaten the Dynamo 4-1, 3-1, or whatever the scoreboard could have been had it not been for the goalpost. But I mean, with that being said, sometimes luck goes your way, and for this time around, it did, and we were able to salvage this point, and and see the debut of a legend as well, going alongside with it. Obviously, the Thomas Mueller goal was called back on the offside, but obviously you see what kind of player they brought on.
Yeah.
Somebody who was ready to go, and I mean, dude, like it's crazy to see the different level of a player, right, compared to what you got on yourself, because like you see a ball like that fall down to a Dynamo player, and they're skying that thing, or they're kicking it to wide left, white right, white, and you see that ball fall to Thomas Mueller perfect, and he just swipes it, and boom, golazo. It's a sight to see. Obviously, round of applause to Vancouver and that organization for making that acquisition and bringing in that type of player into their organization, and rewarding their fan base and the backing that they've had, and the great season that they're having and probably will continue to have this year as well. It's great to see that, man. But it's just, I want some of that action over here in Houston, Andres. I want some of that. I want some of that high level quality soccer on our side. What do we have to do to get something like that on our side, man? Man, it becomes difficult. The week after week. Obviously, like I joined you guys a little bit before this season started. And the unfortunate thing, the unfortunate thing about this season was it was clouded because of the week off season we had prior to coming into the season. And the beginning of the season, you're full of optimism because you're like, oh man, we got time. They still got the winter transfer window open. Whatever, we can bring in somebody. They got to do something. There's no way they're not gonna do anything. They lost so much talent. There's no way they're not gonna bring in anybody of significance. Then that time passes and nobody came in, and you're like, oh shit, I guess they can go without bringing somebody in, right? And then obviously they sign a couple players. They bring in a just a gabble of just players. Really, I mean, they bring in Holmes, where's Holmes? I haven't seen Holmes in a while now. Linger, who obviously had a great start to his career with the Dynamo, but has drastically fallen off. You know, your favorite Pablo Ortiz,
Definitely my
somehow
favorite.
somehow is the only one able to start. And Felipe Andrade, who had a great start to his Dynamo career, but he's slowly fallen off as well a little bit. And you know, no Nelson Quiones.
Antonio
uh,
Carlos for sure making a good first impression. Like it probably is looking like if like aside from what Linger does for the remainder of the season, Antonio Carlos could definitely be the best signing of the season.
yeah, and
Not named a Jack McLean, but but it's kind of like, I mean,
yeah,
we have all these pieces that we brought up, but at the same time, aside from Jack McLean, it kind of feels like there's
bunch of business. It's
barely
just
a
been a
lot of
bunch of
influence.
misfits. I feel
Yeah,
like it's just we signed a bunch of misfits.
yeah.
Like and with all the respect, I mean, I don't want to sound disrespectful towards the players and stuff like that. It's just that we had all these signings, and none of them have really you know taken us anywhere or shown us their capabilities, to the max, and it's a shame. It's like I don't know if the players they're scouting are more of depth type players, and maybe again hoping that in the offseason they're going to sign the true players that are going to be the starting 11 for the Dynamo. But obviously you're laying the foundation down with the players that you have currently. But I mean, damn, I mean, it's crazy because MLS will keep you with the hopes alive for as long as it possibly can, and that's what they're basically doing. I mean, look, like the teams above us, as far as like San Jose and Real Salt Lake and Dallas. I mean, those teams are not really doing anything to really get away from us. But we're not doing anything to catch up to them either. So I mean, it feels like it's just a never ending cycle of moving up to 10th, then falling back down to 12th, and then moving up to 9th, and then falling to 11th, and then going back up to 10th, and then going back to 12, and it's just, man, it's basically four teams fighting for that last playoff spot. And to be honest, I don't feel the I don't think we're the favorites to land that last playoff spot, to be honest, Andres. But I mean, I'll ask you, dude. I mean, obviously, the last couple of weeks we've been talking about the Dynamo and how you feel about the playoffs, and you said the first time we were 5%. They tied last week. You said maybe 5.5% after that. Did the meter go up a little bit this week?
Not really. Like I'm gonna say that it was a positive result against Vancouver because
Mhm.
everybody, even us fans, expected us to lose that game because
Yeah, I thought it was a
we, we're
thrasher. It was gonna be
we're
a thrasher.
we're facing one of the best teams in the Western Conference, and you compare not just the form for Vancouver, but also everything or all the weapons that they had compared to us, all the pieces that we still have missing, and barely not much to show attacking wise. We're looking at a loss here. It was a positive at the end of the day because it was a point out of Vancouver, which could definitely help our situation in the standings. But if you ask a fan like myself and fans that have been very, very knowledgeable about this team for the past few years, you could definitely tell that this team is not capable of earning playoffs, and they can
Mhm.
still earn playoffs if they earn as many points as they can for the remainder of the season. But you look at this roster and you look at the players that we are missing, and you compare it to like the other rosters of teams that are are vying for not just playoffs but also a good MLS Cup run. It's extremely difficult for us to keep some type of optimism because like we are like absolutely nowhere in that conversation. Like we don't deserve to be, and it sucks because we like the past couple of years we were definitely in that conversation because our backline was extremely solid. We were getting home wins. We were getting not that many goals, but we were producing enough goals to win games, and not just at home. But last year we broke the away wins record last year, and
Yeah.
we ended playoffs in like a top 5 seed. So it was amazing, and really it for what it's worth, like it's just annoying that we're back in this position that I had so much trust in not just Ben Olsen but Pat and Asher for building this team, and we're now in the situation that the team and of course the gaps that were left wide open at the start of the year have not been filled, and we now have to put band-aids on all these issues to see if we can actually manage to get like a late playoff appearance or something like that. And I will obviously as a fan, I'll definitely be happy if they make playoffs, but at the same time, it'll
Yeah.
be extremely difficult for me to visualize a solid MLS Cup run because I'm gonna keep saying it. Obviously, sports, especially in this game, it's like obviously miracles can happen, but I'm not gonna trust in a miracle here. I'm gonna look at it the way it is, and the team the way it is right now. I don't believe it in one bit.
Yeah, I think the realism is starting to sink in a little bit, and obviously Kenneth in the chat, what's going on? Kenneth says that was 100% a stolen point in Vancouver, which I agree completely. Like I said, I mean, going to that game, I mean, it was everything against Dynamo. I mean, I honestly thought it was going to be a thrashing. And like I said, I'll admit to what I said earlier. If it wasn't for the goalpost, the Dynamo probably would have gotten thrashed against Vancouver because that goalpost saved them like 2 or 3 goals for sure. And with that being said, I mean, it's just you can see the difference in quality from Vancouver to the Dynamo. I mean, it's that team is very well organized and very well poised to attack and be ready to do whatever they need to do. When they lose the ball, they are quick to recover it. When they're being accounted against, they're very quick to react and get back on D. And when they're on the offensive, they're quick to press and push and force the defense to make a mistake. And that's basically what the three fundamentals that you want in a team and a successful team. And I feel that the Dynamo are the complete opposite of that. You know, and man, it's crazy, man. Soccer will fool you sometimes into believing things that you don't want to believe. And like I said, I mean, look, we've seen glimpses, right? We can recall the San Diego game, the New York City FC game, the game against San Jose earlier this year. Um, you know, um, the Columbus Crew game early in the year.
They're hard to come by.
Yeah. I mean, but we've seen glimpses, and
Yeah.
that's always the thing that keeps getting you back. Like, come on, man, guys. Like, if we're gonna make a run these last 8 games, this has to be the time. It has to be now. Like the urgency has to be there. And look, I'm not gonna be one of those guys that sits here and says like, you know what, man, I don't even want to make the ninth place because why I don't want to be in a play and blah blah blah. Nah, look, man, it's an opportunity. Do I think they're gonna make a deep MLS Cup run or whatever in the playoffs? No, they might get knocked out by the 8th place team and whatever this and that. But who knows? They might knock out number 8, and they might do a little something. It brings a little excitement to the fold, and makes you look forward to the future for next season. And obviously that gives the front office, which is a front office that right now I think me and Andres can agree on this, that we don't really have too much trust in at this moment because of the way they failed us this season. Um, that hopefully it's that they can build something upon that late playoff push, whatever, right? And like I mentioned again, it qualifies us for a place in the Leagues Cup for next year as well. Which obviously a lot of people don't like the competition, but the competition does offer things to the club as far as monetary gain and possibly a spot in the Champions Cup. So those things you got to look forward to as a club when you're a winning organization that you're gonna be involved in a lot of things, and I want to be involved in all these things. Shoot, it doesn't matter what Fruity Loop or Mickey Mouse Cup you're gonna make up next. If there's a prize at the end, there's a title to be lifted, and there's a spot in a international cup that comes with it. I want the Dynamo involved, But with that being said, obviously we're talking about the MLS season here right now, and it's crazy. Corey says, "Please, playoffs are fluky as hell. MLS playoffs are fluky as hell. Anything can happen." Yeah, for sure. I mean, but with that being said, it's just like I said, it just opens the opportunity for other things as well, as far as whether this season might still be looked as a disappointment, but at least hey, you're that's 3 years in a row, and the playoffs, and not really no team one MLS club lower than seed 4. Kenneth has mentioned in there, so I mean, like I said, there's statistics backing it up and things of that nature as well. That obviously it means well to be seated high and stuff like that. But like I said, at the end of the day, as a fan, all we want is for our squad to make the playoffs, and then whatever happens in the playoffs is a brand new season, right? So right now we have 8 games left, 24 points available. I mean, it's now or never, in my opinion.
It's now or now, man.
But yeah, it's now or now. And these ties, while like I said, while they're great, and obviously they're back-to-back ties on the road, and these road points are golden points. The big test is gonna be coming up this upcoming weekend against San Jose. But before we get to that, before we get to the San Jose matchup and all that good stuff, obviously, the summer transfer window has it ended? Has it come on? Is it coming to an end?
It's ending tonight. But it's technically still open, and teams can do transfers. Those transfers can be announced on a later date, as long as they were completed and turned into the league office by tonight.
Nice. So I've heard 3 names that have been rumored to us that have been linked to us. One of them seems to be off the table because of negotiations breaking down, and that was for Uruguayan defender from Colo Colo who plays in Chile for Colo Colo. What's his name? Alan Saldiva, whose discovery rights. Yes, Saldivia, whose discovery rights, ironically, belong to the Vancouver Whitecaps. So Vancouver somehow still ended up getting a W over us in that aspect. Apparently, negotiations have fallen off, and it seems to the point where Allen is no longer a priority for the Dynamo. So, anything about Allen that you've researched, Andres, that you would have loved to see him here, or maybe it's okay, whatever. I'm not gonna really miss a player that I don't know too much about.
I was researching a little bit because it's a name that I felt like it could be coming to the Dynamo, but at the same time, I was not so sure. But I do know that it was like a decent center back, as much as I've seen. Obviously, could have been a different story in MLS. Just depending on how much time he has seen back in South America. But I mean, I would have welcomed it because it was definitely another body in the back line. And of course,
somebody who could hopefully replace Pablo Ortiz.
Yes, yeah, and it was probably just going to be another loan. And obviously, we had the issue with like Pablo Ortiz and him potentially like sticking around for like long term with a loan with an option to buy, but obviously that's not going to materialize anymore. So it was kind of just like a low risk move, and I was definitely going to be okay with that. But of course, this happened, and I was kind of upset. But Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I looked him up a little bit when I first heard of this rumor. Uruguayan center back, and obviously Colo Colo, one of the biggest clubs in Chile. For those who are not too familiar with with the club, I mean, he seemed like it would have been a nice addition. Obviously, adding to the South American flair that we have back there, as far as Argentinians and Brazilians and Colombians. So it would have been a nice little link up as far as South American flavor back there. But I mean, obviously, it's something that seems dead in the water. More than likely, not gonna happen. But I mean, there's another player. Tell me if you heard this. Tell me if you heard this story before. A Colombian 22-year-old winger being linked to the Dynamo. So, There's one thing there's two things that Pat loves in this world: Colombian wingers and one-legged players. So but yeah. So Juan Cordova, who I think at this moment currently plays in Europe, if I'm not sure, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to look at my notes here, but
I know the
your
Dynamo.
thoughts on? Huh? Oh yeah, for Dynamo. For Dynamo.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. For Dynamo to Dynamo, this one looks like it might be one of the, if out of the three players, might be the one that actually does happen. Your thoughts on Juan Cordoba? What have you researched on him, and what do you think? I mean, a right winger is what we're missing right now, because obviously Nali's a left. He would be a good addition if he's able to provide a spark on that side of the pitch.
Yeah, it's really comes down to the fact that Nelson Quinones is still going to be missing for the foreseeable future. Probably we're not going to see him in 2025. And we need that type of forward that's dynamic, that type of forward that's kind of like a Nelson Quinones, and Juan Cordova seems like it's that. Of course, he's gonna be coming in with European experience, which is definitely needed. And even though if you only play like a few games and hasn't really been producing a lot attacking wise, obviously I'm definitely looking forward to have another forward in this roster, because we need something exciting, something that really makes this team dangerous, because this team has like a massive Quinones hole like on the wing, and Ali was able to fill half of that, but obviously there's only one, and Ali that can only take care of one side of the field, and hopefully Cordoba does it for the Dynamo, and we'll just see. I don't know if it's gonna be like a loan or not. It might be a loan, but
it might be a U22, because I mean we have that spot open after the Aliu trade earlier in the season. So I mean that U22 spot has been open ever since Aliu has been traded to Columbus. So we'll see what happens with that. And then lastly, this one came up to us a little bit before the show started, and this is for a defensive midfielder. Let me not butcher his name. Diader Samaseko.
Samaseko, yeah.
Samaseko. And he's playing currently, and shoot, where is he playing currently?
I believe he's a free agent, but he used to play at Hoffenheim.
Hoffenheim, there you go. That's what it was. So, I mean, obviously, a free agent player, not going to cost anything. Maybe another player that comes through, depending on how difficult the situation is or what the player is looking for. But obviously, if you're a free agent and you got nothing going on, I mean, if somebody's offering you a contract, you come along and play. And if it's in America, why not? So we'll see what happens with that, man. Anything on Diadad that you were able to look up on before we came on? I mean, I know it was kind of a last minute thing that popped up on us.
So apparently, Al Ittihad and Besiktas were trying to sign him because he has a free agent, and apparently Houston beat him in the race, and he could be traveling to Houston to get his medical, which remains to be seen. Obviously, they could just be big for Houston, and obviously a free agent. You know how much we love free agents. Like the only thing we can sign apparently, but it's a 29-year-old defensive midfielder. Obviously, like it could be someone that could come in for our tour, or depending on how we want to deploy him, or he's coming off the bench.
Or Brooklyn.
So I welcome him for sure. Or Brooklyn, I welcome him for sure.
Yeah. Maybe because he's a free agent. I mean, he's able to sign after the transfer window closes, so he might be one of those that come in. Andres
Oh yeah,
says,
and Jaden, Jaden did correct me in the comments saying that apparently he did sign a 2-year contract. So yeah, Houston will have to sign him right off the bat. So which
okay,
yeah, obviously the free agent thing could definitely not be accurate, but still, like it could be big because we have to go ahead and sign him from the club. So
yeah,
yeah,
I, yeah, I got you. And Adrian says, remember we all gave them grace when they gave up on the Open Cup because they're focused on MLS playoff contention. Now, most likely, we get neither. Um, And Corey says, "Do we need 3 CDMs?" It's one of those things that obviously look. This is why, for me, in my opinion, when you're in a tournament, man, you focus fully on that tournament, and you don't worry about anything else. Obviously the number one objective is the season and making positive strides in that and making the playoffs and making a nice little run and hopefully lifting up the MLS Cup title at the end, right? But at the end of the day, when you're focusing on when you're playing in that tournament, U.S. Open Cup or League Cup or whatever other tournament you're involved with, you know you have to take advantage of those opportunities. I mean, it's opportunity for silverware, and regardless of how much you love that tournament or how much you hate that tournament or whatever your feelings are towards said tournament, there's benefits at the end of for winning that tournament. Monetary prize and obviously, like I said, CONCACAF Champions Cup places to be had. So I mean, I've never been one to be, to not to overlook the U.S. Open Cup, and like I mentioned earlier in the first in our discussion about the Vancouver game, you know, if the Dynamo are somehow able to get to that ninth spot and make the playoffs as a play-in in that number 9 spot, that qualifies them for next year's Leagues Cup, which is obviously is a good thing because obviously you want to have that opportunity to play in that tournament to hopefully make a nice little run and lift that cup, or at least try to get one of the top 3 spots to get into the Champions Cup. So well, I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens with all that, but um, so going back to these 3 guys and obviously seeing whether or not we'll see it. Like I said, I think Cordoba is probably the more
Cordova,
the
yeah.
is probably the one that will probably make the way through to the Dynamo. Um, do you think that he can come in and make a difference? I mean, like I said, 8 games left. I mean, well, technically, if by the time he comes in, it might be 7 or 6 games left. And that's kind of a lot of a pressure to put into a new player coming in, trying to adjust into a new system and see what they want. And you know, I mean, you kind of putting a player like that in a tough position to come in and to automatically, you know, adapt and excel, and that's just not the case sometimes. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm optimistic with new players coming in because it can definitely add a new dynamic to not just the lineup but also the roster in the long run over the course of the season.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's just really disappointing, and honestly, I'm like straight up angry because we wait up until the last day of the transfer window to try and materialize the signing. And granted,
Yeah,
we've already talked about the market before. It could just be moves that they were working on that we're not able to materialize over time for all these reasons. But this is something that they should have been working on for the past few months because they had a sight of like how the season was going, and they had to have some sort of idea of the type of player that we need to turn the season around. And we're looking at the last day of the transfer window. We're bringing in like an on-22 player, which in the future could be something good for us. But as of right now, we need like a game changer, like a proven game changer that can just like take this team to the next level. And
yeah,
we've been expecting that just based on the past few seasons, they were able to bring in all these designated players. That obviously Hector Herrera materialized to the player that he was, and obviously Coco and everybody else. But it's just kind of disappointing that we're finding out on the last day, like nothing really earth shattering that will improve our expectations or how the season was gonna go. To me, it's kind of like
Yeah,
we're putting all this weight on this player because, like you kind of said it, like it's just on a 22 player. Well, this 22-year-old that we're putting the hopes of the season or right now, and if the idea comes in good, but at the same time, we were expecting like a game changer, man. Like we're trying to salvage the season here.
yeah, I think it just goes to show the kind of like the lackluster or I don't even know what to call it, the procrastination of the front office. I don't know. Jaden says, fun fact was linked. Well, he was linked to us last year. He's talking about Cordova before he went to Croatia. So I don't think they did much digging in the market. Laugh out loud. Which hey, look, I mean, I don't have any facts as far as him being linked to us last year. But I mean, if he was, I mean, obviously it's a player that they've been tracking for a while now. So I mean, but why wait to the last day of the transfer window to get it done? I mean, if this is a player that you've been tracking for over a year now, I mean, it's something where like, hey, if you knew that we've been struggling on the right because we've had Basi up there, we've had Kowalovic up there, we've had Linger up there, we've had whoever can dress up and go on the right side, go up there, and no luck whatsoever. So if you've been tracking this kid since last year, why do you wait till the last day of the transfer window to really push hard and sign him? G says feels like the team is giving up on the season. They're fine with missing playoffs, and whether that's true or whether that's the feeling that they give out, I mean, to me, it feels like they're just gonna write out and whatever happens happens. And if that's the case, then why even waste time trying to bring in Cordova, or a Allen or whoever else we mentioned earlier? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, just go. You're either gonna live or die with the players that you have currently, and and if somehow Ben Olsen's able to pull a rabbit out of his hat and get this team to the playoffs, then round of applause. But but more than likely, I think me and Andres are on the same page where we feel that the Dynamo are going to falter and not make the playoffs. But I mean, it's yeah, man, I don't understand it, man. It's one of those things where obviously when the Dynamo were taken over by Ted and his group, there were promises made of the Dynamo becoming one of the top echelon clubs in MLS. Making Houston a soccer city. This is and that. Bringing in the European fans, the Mexican fans, the South American fans. Unite them all together and drape them in orange and all this crap. And obviously, look, like I said, I round of applause them for the fact that they got us out of the hole that the club was in, and all that good stuff. But I mean, but now it's time to go to the next level. And obviously, when you're going to the next level, it's going to cost more resources. And are they willing to to let go of those resources to give us the ability to grow as a club and go into the next level that we need to go to? Because realistically, if not, then what are we doing? We're hoping for diamonds in the rough. That's basically, I feel like that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping that one of these cheap players or one of these free agents or one of these players that are injured, and we're gonna help recoup in a couple of months, that when they get better, are gonna do something. But nobody's done anything. I mean, like I said, I've named off all the players that came in. Aside from McGlynn, nobody has really done anything of significance. You know, like nobody. And I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. If you give me the salaries and the transfer fee that you paid for Linger, Holmes, and I know some of these players you didn't pay any fees for, but the salary you're paying for them, Linger, Home, Ortiz, and whoever else you want to mention in there, I would have just taken, hey, you should just brought back Hector. You should just kept Hector. Honestly, if that was the case. But I mean, obviously that's going back in the time and the hot tub time machine, which we don't have, and wishing for different things. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's crazy. But let's get away from all that. And I guess next time we do a show, we'll talk about if the Dynamo actually do make an actual signing this transfer window or not. We'll see what happens, and obviously keep following our social medias to see what happen. If it does happen, our thoughts about those signings, or if it does happen. But let's talk about this weekend and this game at home, where it hasn't been home sweet home.
No,
Has been home, bitter home.
they're home.
And against a San Jose Earthquake team, which we've mentioned a lot this show, who currently sit in that ninth and final spot for the playoff. A true 6-pointer, They're 3 points ahead of us. They're at 32 points. We're at 29 points. Obviously, the goal differential is a little bit of a thing right there. But I mean, regardless, if we can get tied with them at the same points, it puts them in a better position to actually make a run at this. The last time we played San Jose at home, we got off to a great start. Fantastic start against San Jose. San Jose has a lot of attacking players. I'm not too familiar with what's going on with them at this point or why they're doing so not as well as I thought they would. I mean, they have a lot of players like Joseph Martinez.
Yep.
A couple of Argentine players on there. I know one of them left. I can't remember which one left. But yet, I mean, they're in the way. That game ended up being a 3-3 tie on the road, which ended up being a disappointment for us because we were leading in that game, if I'm not mistaken. But your thoughts on the game against San Jose, Andres? Obviously, this will be a quote unquote playoff type game because obviously both teams are fighting for that last spot, and it would help San Jose a long way to get into the playoffs if they can pull out a win here in Houston, which a lot of people have been getting wins here in Houston, unfortunately. Your thoughts on that game? What do you think, and what do you like to see?
Well, yes, San Jose had a pretty hot start to the year. Obviously, they're under the being managed under Bruce Arena, and obviously bringing in all these type of players before the season started. Definitely improved things based on last year. I think last year they won the wooden spoon, if I'm not mistaken, or they were pretty close to. But essentially, they improved massively over last year. But as of right now, they're in the middle of the pack and holding on to the last playoff spot, and we are right behind them by 3 points. So you could definitely guess the pressure heading into this game because a win could definitely put us closer to the pack if we won playoffs. But like you said, we're back at home. We want to still prove a point as to why as a team, we want to build this type of confidence to fans and not just the fans, but also themselves because we haven't done much significance at home. Historically speaking, we do have the worst home form in team history this year. We lost all these games with plenty of season to go already, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
So it's really up to them. We've been talking about like how this team can definitely show it off on the road. They've done it multiple times this year already, and they're coming home with 2 points out of Austin and Vancouver. So it's really up to them because we can definitely say, oh, we can expect good things at home, or something like case in 2025, unfortunately. So we'll have to see it. I hope that's the case, but a win will definitely be nice. But I don't know what they're going to do against San Jose. It's kind of been the trend starting after July, after Leagues Cup. So we'll see.
Yeah. Corey says on the chat, super disappointing because Houston is about to have World Cup fever and our biggest name player is a USA men's national team bench player. True. Adrian says, reminder that even the last place team, LA Galaxy, is in the Leagues Cup quarterfinal. We have nothing to show for our season but a Texas Derby win. This is true, and we'll talk about that because we're gonna have a little bit of a League Cup recap here at the end of the show. But I like that you brought that up about the Galaxy, man. Obviously defending MLS champions, and this MLS season was a whole crap about. But it was a big disappointment for them. But big disappointment might lead into them qualifying for the Champions Cup next year, because if they win the next game, they get one of the 3 spots, and they're qualified for the Champions Cup. So I mean, you can't have too much of a disappointment if you qualify for that tournament, and then on top of that, they have they have a 25% chance of winning this tournament. So, and at the end of the day, if they lift the trophy at the end of the day, how much of a disappointment can that be? But anyways, going back to this game, I mean, I'm looking up San Jose right now while you were talking about about what your thoughts about the game. And look, man, these guys, they're loaded. Joseph Martinez is having a resurrection here. 12 goals for them in the MLS. Go ahead, Andres.
No, you're good. I just saying. I was
Oh,
pointing
you're
to the
Venezuela.
flag.
You're Venezuelan.
I mean, Joseph
I
is
got it.
back. Honestly, like nobody expected him to come back. Like after just being jumping in between teams, trying to be like MLS MVP again, it was going to be difficult. But Joseph Martinez won.
But Big Brucey, he knows how to bring out the best in you, and Joseph is he's resurrected. 12 goals. Christian Naranjo, who's another talented forward, 11 goals. And then obviously their playmaker and Christian Espinosa has 11 assists for the season, and Christian Arango up there with him with 7 assists. So I mean, just that 3-headed monster right there between those 3 guys. I mean, you can see where all the firepower and all the goals are being created from, and that just goes to show that, I mean, the team is offensively motivated, which is a big problem for the Dynamo because we're not, but they lack in defense. They do lack in defense. I mean, but can we take advantage of that? That's the problem. Can the Dynamo score a goal? Can the Dynamo score a goal? Like can they take advantage of their opportunities and score goals? I mean, look, San Jose has allowed 47 goals. Like that's one of the top. What's one of the poorest defenses in the whole league. And granted, for them, they've scored 50, which makes them one of the highest scoring teams in the league as well. But I mean, like, there's an opportunity here because their defense sucks. But do we have enough offense? Do we have enough creativity from our end to take advantage of that opportunity? I mean, the last time we played them, we scored 3 goals on them. Has a lot changed since then? I mean, can we? Is it possible to do it again? I mean, we're at home. It should be a time where, like I said, hold down our fortress. I'm tired of losing these games at home. What do we have? Like we got like a 7-game non-winning streak at
something
home
like
right now going on.
I probably believe you, but it's something crazy like that because I said initially, it's historically, like, this hasn't happened before. We've been historically very strong at home, and not even halfway through the season we already lost, and like uncalculable games at home, which we were expected to win or even draw. So it doesn't make sense, man.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad to see, though. I mean, obviously, sorry, hold on. Give me a sec, man.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying that I can't remember from the top of my head, but I think like before the Leagues Cup started, we lost that amount of games at home already, which is unexpected. Yeah. And San Jose coming in with all these offensive weapons, and probably us starting Pablo Ortiz on Adrian, doing for the kids on Kids Night. Like it's funny because I don't know what to expect, but yeah, it is Kids Night this weekend against San Jose, so it's really disappointing because I still don't know what to expect out of this team because we're moving things. We kind of look okay under all these past 2 games, but what is San Jose gonna do? How are we gonna capitalize against San Jose defensively out of their end? Remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough situation, man. It's you don't want to feel like like you're not giving your all. I believe that these players they're up there. They're trying to do their best and they're trying to give their all. It's just for whatever reason it's not connecting. And obviously this game against San Jose can go a long way into maybe helping us get a little bit of a more of a optimistic view towards the last 7 games after that. Because I mean, like I said, it puts us right there and right dab in the middle of the playing contention. So and obviously that would be 5 points in the last 5 games, which is obviously great to hear. But I mean, but like, it's one thing hoping and it's another thing doing. Like I said, we had a great match against them at their place, 3-3 match tie. I mean, they're not that much different from what they were. If anything, their defense has faltered them. That's why they're in the position they're in right now. Because honestly, with the high scoring offense that they have, they should be a team much higher in the table. But obviously, when you're top heavy and your defense lacks like that, you lose a lot of games. And that's the case for them. So we'll see, man. I mean, it's I would wanna ask a prediction from you, Andres, if you want to give one.
I guess I'll say 3-2 Dynamo out of the fact that I'm a Dynamo fan because I
3-2
wanna I wanna reach out to something. I wanna reach out to a positive result to get us out of this mess. But man, it's really difficult. It's really difficult being a Dynamo fan altogether, and I feel for everyone that has been believing in this project for the past couple of years.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation, man. And and the thing is, like, you say 3-2 Dynamo, and we said you. I'm pretty sure you're saying that because you want to be optimistic about the whole, that you want to give them a chance. Like, everything's kind of playing down to your court. Like I said, MLS will find a way to keep you intrigued
Yeah,
when you shouldn't be. When you shouldn't be, you know. It's not that Ben's team is keeping them alive. It's the fact that the teams ahead of us aren't doing what they need to do to basically get rid of us, eliminate us, right? And it's like they said, as long as there's an opportunity, as long as we're not mathematically eliminated, there's always a chance. And unfortunately for us as Dynamo fans and supporters, or fortunately or unfortunately, depending on the way you want to see it, there's still a chance. And and if we're gonna take the bull by the horns and we're gonna actually do something about it, this would be the game to get a great start at and to grab a win and to really show to the fan base and to supporters that that we might not look pretty doing it, but we're gonna fight to the end. We want to make the playoffs. We want to end this season on a positive note, and hopefully lead into the offseason where we do something big. But we'll see what happens. That's further down the road. So I'm gonna be optimistic right alongside with you, Andres. I'm not gonna go that high of a game scoring as far as 3-2, but I'm gonna say 2-1 Dynamo. I think that's a little bit more fair. I think 2-1 would be my prediction. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care who scores at this point. At this point, I just need the Dynamo to win. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. That will be this Saturday at 7:30 South Central Standard Time on Apple TV at Shell Energy Stadium. But with that being said, let's review the League Cup a little bit, before we get off and going. Obviously, we had all four games last night in the quarterfinals. Inter Miami without Messi versus Tigres. Toluca, the Mexican champions, versus Orlando City. LA versus Pachuca. And Puebla versus Seattle Sounders. And it was a complete sweep for MLS. A complete sweep for MLS. All 4 games of the quarterfinals. First with the Inter Miami game, 2 penalty kicks by Luis Suarez to defeat Tigres 2-1. Another goal notched by Angel Correa, who, dude, when I see Angel Correa on the Tigres uniform, it just upsets me,
Absolutely
bro.
unfair. Yeah, it's
It
not fair.
it upsets me because for $7 million, bro, $7 million, you basically brought in your next generations. For them, Guinac, like Angel Correa. I follow him obviously because he's Argentine. He's been an Argentine international. Whatever, played for La Liga and Atletico Madrid for over almost a decade, if I'm not mistaken. You know, he's always been that backup to the backup, and he's always made the Argentine team. But he has a lot of skill set, man, and for how cheaply he went, man, I was just surprised, man. Like, to be honest, like Tigres can flip him right now and probably get double the fee. It's just that crazy. But they're eliminated. Inter Miami moves on. Orlando City FC SC, um, and a PK thriller where Pedro Galesi, Peru's number one goalkeeper, scores the game-winning penalty kick against those guys and knocks out Liga MX and Hector Herrera, our old H knocked them out of the League's Cup, um, and they advance to face against Miami. You know what I found kind of weird? I don't know if you got a chance to watch those games, Andres. I was hoping to see H do go for a PK. He was on the field. He was on the pitch, and he never showed up, man. I was like, wow, that's kind of that's kind of crazy for me. For a player
Yeah.
with such stature and such a lot of high, obviously the great career that he's had, he's just not comfortable with the PKs, man. He wanted no part of that.
No, yeah. I mean, it's kind of you kind of expect him to have a bigger role, and he obviously played a role in Toluca's championship season. But
Yeah,
well, obviously, League Cup is a little bit different, and how to travel around and try to fit a good team into other places across the country. It's tricky for the Liga MX teams. I think it's unfair
yeah,
to them because they never get to host, and
yeah.
that's definitely another conversation.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. But I mean, they gain a lot of money coming over here, a lot of different monetary advances
Incentives,
for their
yeah.
yeah, incentives. Um, Seattle Sounders down 10 men going to PK against Puebla. Uh, almost messing it up themselves. Cristiano Ronaldo misses a PK, first PK, but obviously Seattle always finding a way to get through, and Seattle Sounders, another one of those MLS top echelon clubs, finding a way to get through this tournament and advance to the semifinals, winning 4-3 on PKs as well. And then obviously on Adrian mentioned this club earlier in the chat. LA Galaxy are MLS Cup defending champions, going against Pachuca, beating them 2-1, and advancing that way as well, man. And think about it, man. For so much flack that LA Galaxy has gotten, for them to make the run that they're running in this League Cup, it's just astonishing, man. I mean, you look, it's just one of those things where, like, hey, they know they know that they're eliminated MLS playoff contention or whatever. This is that. They know that this is their last resort. Let's focus on that. Let's put our full resources into this League Cup, and let's see what we can do. And they're 2 matches away from lifting up a cup, back-to-back seasons. So, hey, it just goes to show that when you focus and when you have a manager and like Greg Vannery, who obviously is known for lifting MLS cups and lifting up different type of trophies throughout his career as a coach. He's a never say die type of coach. And I think that's what we're missing here. A never say die type of coach. Instead of somebody who we're still trying to find ourselves. We're still trying to find ourselves. It's week 30 something, and we're still trying to find ourselves.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. Nah, man, you gotta hold yourself accountable as a coach. And and lead the way. You're meant to be a leader of men, and if you're not leading the way, how can you expect anybody else to step up and lead for you? But any thoughts on the League Cup? Did you get a chance to watch any of the games?
Not really, because it's
No.
during the week and it's a little bit tricky with work and all that. But
Yeah.
I mean, good for MLS. Even though this tournament kind of looks like it's more so a favor for MLS teams since they get to host more
Yeah.
than Liga MX, but it's good for MLS.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, you'll see the top three spots go to MLS clubs for the Concacaf Champions Cup, and obviously, the winner of the Leagues Cup gets the round of 16 spot. So I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But I mean, obviously, shout out to the MLS and those guys. Andres, obviously, we're coming up to the hour mark of the show. Is there anything else you want to add before we end up going?
Man, I'm just really disappointed with how the transfer window turned out. I was expecting something could have been done way sooner
Mm-hmm.
if the front office actually felt urgency that okay, we are bottom of the Western Conference. We needed to turn the season around and bring some optimism and at least show that we are trying. And
Yeah.
of course, we kind of know they're working on that. And I've even seen like Asher in the game against Austin, like being on the phone the entire game. And well, still, Austin's fans, it's kind of like we kind of essentially got nothing. And granted, we can get like a couple signings by the end of transfer window, which is great. But at the same time, we've already wasted like a couple games. We could have made a statement with the new signings if they came over earlier, So really disappointing. Kind of sets the urgency that the team already has to try and do something about this season because we already a handful of games left, and we're relying on a miracle right now to see if we can at least win games. Because right now they're saying like, okay, we haven't lost yet, guys. Relax. We're working on it. We're working on it. We're working on it. And us as fans, we've been in this place before. It's kind of saying, okay, but we're this kind of not really much to look forward to. Like it's just
Yeah.
us here. We're bringing an R22 forward. Great. We're gonna bring this guy. Awesome. But no game changer, man. Like we'll have to wait out another off season to see what happens. But now, like it's us seeing what happens in the next couple months because I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, and obviously the never ending saga of when is Anton Griezmann gonna come to MLS popped up earlier, and they had different teams linked to him, like New York Red Bulls, and I think it was who was it? I forgot the other team that they mentioned. But I mean, it's just like, are the Dynamo ever gonna get linked to a player of that
We
caliber? I
wish.
mean, it's like. It's like I don't like just somebody just make up something. Come on, just somebody throw something out there, man. Come on, put some juice into this organization, man. Like let me falsely believe that we're after world class talent, man. Because I don't know. It's I guess to one point. I mean, good thing we're not in the Eastern Conference, because if we were in the Eastern Conference, we would have
Yeah.
been done a long time ago. So I mean, it just goes to show how much that side of the league is just way ahead of the rest of us. Adrian says here at the end, I want to shout out Bossy. He got an assist and he even looked like he was hustling when he was on the pitch, much more than we could say about some players. Like, hey, we always welcome the Bossy love, even though I don't give out too much of it myself. But I mean, hey, Bossy did have the assist on the All-Star goal. Obviously Nali had the great run up to it before passing it to Bossy. So I mean, shout out to Bossy. But with that being said, guys, Andres, let the people know where they can find us.
Yeah, man. So first of all, big shout out to everyone in the chat being active tonight. We did have a ton of people commenting, which is great. So shout out to Corey, Kenny, Adrian. Also, we did have Jaden as well and G. Thank you guys so much for participating in the chat and for bringing up some of the comments and questions. And of course, everyone that tunes in over the course of the week, we do appreciate you guys listening and watching all the episodes, not just podcast episodes, but also everything that we put out on the YouTube channel, Foxtrot TV on YouTube. The best ways to watch our content and also be engaged with our live episodes. So make sure to like all of our videos, subscribe, and also leave a comment. It means a lot to us and also helps with the algorithm. So we do appreciate your support there. Also, wherever you listen to your own podcast, it's going to be everything under Noodle Time. So make sure you are also subscribed there to not miss out on any of the episodes that we put out. And social media, at Dynamic Foxtrot on X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. We also have a separate handle on X called Noodle Time, Noodle Tiempo, sorry. It's just us trying to keep you guys as engaged as much as possible, and obviously going to keep you guys updated with all the movement around the transfer window deadline, which is going to be closing out tonight. And there's probably going to be a couple moves that are going to be announced pretty soon, but obviously we're going to keep you guys updated as soon as possible. And of course, one more thing, the weekly newsletter, Fox in the Box and That's Dispatch, the written version. We did post those on a weekly basis, and we did post those earlier this week. So check it out if you haven't already. It's going to be on our Substack, and we do have the link in either in the YouTube channel, so you guys can check it out, or also on X. We do have all the links that you can check out as well, and I highly encourage checking that out if you haven't already. But yeah, that and also Goals TV, Goals.tv at Dynamic Foxtrot is going to be our profile for that website. It's a cool space where you get to engage with other soccer content creators like us. If you haven't checked it out already, I encourage that. Also available on the links that we provide in our profile page. And yeah, man, as always, thank you guys for your support, especially in this season where the team has not been performing as great as we hoped. And we'll see what happens in the next few games.
Yeah, guys. I mean, obviously, I'll piggyback off what Andres says. Thank you for the support, guys. Shout out to everybody in the chat for being active. I guess we'll see what happens this Saturday, man, and hopefully we get back to our winning ways at home, man, because this losing at home is not cutting it for us at all. And this game is a big game if we're gonna truly make a run at this and try to make a last minute run towards MLS playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But with that being said, guys, regardless of what's going on, whether we're up or down, we're always going to hold it down for H-Town, for the Dynamo Dash, and for Dino Dose. Hold it down, guys.
Stay noodle, yo.